Hi, this is Myra with Boutique Paint. I hope everybody's staying cool this summer. We are in record-breaking heat where we're at, so trying to stay cool with the fan on, and hopefully you can't hear it on the video, but I'd be melting if I didn't have it on right now. Today I am working on making these little pendants from the lock and key mold from Iron Orchid Design. I'll be using the Amazing Casting resin, which is a two-part resin, and I have a more detailed video on how to use this particular product on our YouTube channel. I'm going to take two parts, or one part of each of the resin, and mix them together. And I like to do them in these little dollar store cups. You can get a pack of, I think, 25 or something, 20 for $1. Just mix them up. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to be using parts of these molds. We're not going to be using the full mold. And I like to look at each one of these molds completely individually as far as their parts, because they have such incredible elements in them. So I could use just this or just this piece, and then, or these ones are really pretty, just, you know, that end of things. Shouldn't be stopping while I'm mixing this in such a hot day. It'll probably set up on me really fast. If you haven't used the resin very often, mix it up in small batches. When you're pouring, since we're doing jewelry, this doesn't always matter, but for the jewelry it will, and I'll show you a little bit later what I mean. But you want it all the way to the top. You don't want it bubbling on the top, bubbling over, not bubbling, but pouring over. But you want it, I'm going to pour a little faster because I can feel this. It's so hot right now. It's heat activated, and you can see it's already setting up. But if you pour under, then it gives it kind of a lip, and then it's kind of sharp. But you can also sand that down. I think I've got one right here. Well, that's not a good example. Let me see. This one's probably better. I don't know if you can see it, but it's kind of concave, so it makes this edge very sharp. So you could sandpaper that down and make it smooth. That would work too, but it's just easier if you go ahead and pour it flush with the lip. So I'm going to let this set. It shouldn't take too long, and I'll come back and we'll go from there. Okay, so our pieces have hardened, and, well, not completely hardened. You can see they're still flexible. They will stiffen up with time. A caution is it's very warm here, as I said, and when you're mixing the resin in the heat, it sets up really, really fast. So the problem with that is I threw away half of what I mixed up, and I'm usually pretty good about being able to gauge, but the heat just it's just too warm, so it hardened quickly. What I'm going to do now is, you could do this with either scissors or wire cutters or a box knife, but I'm just going to cut. I think these will cut through it. Just cut that off. And if you let this sit a little bit and it hardens up a little bit before you glue on the other piece, you could sand this down if it's a little rough. But that felt pretty good. So you just make them shorter. That one's a little thicker, it's harder to cut with scissors. So I'm just kind of cutting the sharp edges off. That way I don't have to file them. So that's the basic idea of that. I've got, let's see, scoot those aside. And I'm using DIY's old 57. I'm just gonna paint these little guys up. And my brush, I painted some so that I would have some drying, and my brush hardened up in that short period of time. Just get into those crevices. And I paint the front and the back. And get into those little guys. And just quickly get the sides. I'm going to set this aside and grab the ones that I already painted, and hopefully they're dry. Since my brush was dry, I'll just set that to the side. Oh, this one I accidentally dipped into the resin again. I have this one, which I didn't cut the stem off of. You could see that there's a little bit of an angle there. You could probably glue that and make that your ring. It would probably work, but we're gonna cut it off. I'm just gonna get that, and I think I'm gonna get that into my water before it hardens. All right, and I got another one on the floor here. So those are the ones we're going to play with a little bit. So first I'm going to, maybe I'll do the waxing first. So I'm going to put a little bit of wax. I'm going to do a copper one on this one. And hopefully not to get too much. Just kind of hit the high spots. And maybe a little bit on the sides. Set that aside. And the next one I think I will do with gold. That one doesn't look like it's quite dry enough yet. If I could get some of the gold on my finger. Now, if that is too strong for you, which I think I might wipe it back a little bit, you just take a paper towel and wipe on it, and then it'll pull some of that off. I was thinking one of these in navy blue with some gold would be really pretty. I'm going to set that one aside because it's not dry yet, which is hard to believe in this heat. I'm going to set these aside, and we'll glue these little backings on. I got these at Hobby Lobby, but I think Michael's has them. You can get them online. I'm just using a super glue adhesive. Probably most glues would work. To center it, I'm actually only going to use one of these. You could use two of them, but I think I'm going to do one. And I'm going to run my piece through. And this is just going to be a over the neck, so no clasp in the back. Just pull it right up and over your head. Get those lined up. Thread that through also. Pull those through. And get your ribbons even. And then with the ends of these, the chain, what I'm going to do is I'm going to open this up. And normally I would tell you to twist that open this way, but this is such a bad loop. I'm going to rework it here. If I can grab a hold of it. I'm going to reshape it a little bit. Give it a little bit more of a round. It's not perfect, but a little bit better. I'm going to twist that open. I'm going to loop the two together, close it back up. And then my ends, I'm just going to tie in a knot since they're going to be in the back. You could do a clasp back here for the ribbon part, or some sort of a closure just to close that up. But since I designed this particular one to go over the neck, I'm just going to tie those in a knot. And that's it for this. I'd love to see what kind of creative ideas you come up with using just the parts of the molds. Just get creative, but look at the little pieces because they're so detailed. They're so beautiful. This is my favorite of this, but all of them are just way cool. And there's all kinds of things you can do with just the pieces. So think a little outside the box with it. Thank you for joining me. If you have any questions on any of the products shown here, you can go to our website at www.boutiquepaint.com. Thank you. Bye.